Ultra minimum battles is one of the most hardcore settings that you can play the Pokemon games on. You are trying to beat the entire game with only gym leaders, Elite Four, the champion, and in the case of Pokemon Crystal, Red at the end of the game with all of its level 70 plus Pokemon. It is an insane gauntlet because you are limiting yourself to only the experience that you could get from these trainers with no level grinding, no fighting other trainers, just 22 battles to beat the entirety of Pokemon Crystal. Now, Ultra Minimum Battles is a format that was first done by RBY Pokemon Challenges, so I have to give him his flowers for this one, where he has been beating the game of Pokemon Red and Blue with only 13 battles, basically showing that when you pump Pokemon full of vitamins and give them access to all of the overworld TMs that they could pick up by simply walking through walls, they become completely overpowered. But Gen 2 is a massively different beast. Of course, Gen 2 has much better trainer AI. There aren't nearly as many broken spots where you can just cheese for a win, and some of the most broken mechanics of Gen 1 were completely patched out of the game or replaced with serious nerfs in this version. So we're going to have to see if Pokemon with things like Sleep are actually as strong as they were in Gen 1 by being able to beat everything on this hardcore setting. But that does lead to us having to address the Fampy in the middle of the room here, which is that unlike Gen 1, Gen 2 does not have a simple walk through walls glitch that you can set up to just go fight anything in any order. So it does raise the question, why would you even want to do this sort of challenge? Well, there are a couple reasons why I think it's worthwhile, even if you're not planning to do it yourself. The first is to see what level Pokemon actually get to just off of the XP that they get from the required bosses in the game. Could it be that you're still getting to high enough levels that with vitamins you could beat opponents without having to go straight up YOLO strats? Or is it a situation where so much of that extra XP that you get against all those rockets and randos that you fight is important enough to actually impact the run? The other reason that I think it's interesting though is because if you do play some of these newer ROM hacks where they open up the ability to move between Kanto and Johto, etc., it's kind of interesting to see how that would have worked out if you were doing it just in the base original games. So we're going to test this out, and we're going to test it with the Pokemon that I think is the most equipped to handle this challenge, Mew. Mew comes in not only with amazing stats, with a base 100 in everything, it gets the massive advantage of that medium slow level up group. Until about level 30, 35-ish, the medium slow level up group levels up faster than anything else in the game. And when you're running on limited experience, that could be massive, leading to us getting to significantly higher levels than we otherwise would get on these same settings. But the other reason, of course, is because this Pokemon learns every single TM move in the game. So in theory, if anything is going to have a wide enough move pool to actually get this done without going for some sort of like broken sleep strat, it is Mew. Don't get me wrong, a Mewtwo might still be able to keep up with its high base stats, and we might even find some random Pokemon like a Clefable or a Hypno that can get this job done with the sleep tactics. But Mew is going to give us the chance to see if we just fight our opponents straight up with the strongest attacking moves that we can think of at any given time, is it possible to actually win the game on these settings? So let's get into it and find out as we run the most powerful Mew that has ever existed, and we put it up against an insane gauntlet of only the 16 gym leaders, the Elite Four, the Champion Lance, and of course, Red at the end. Let's get into this. So today, as we step into Professor Elm's lab, he has the ultimate challenge for us. He's going to give us access to an amazing Pokemon in Mew, but then he's going to force us to run it on possibly the hardest setting that you could ever imagine in a vanilla Pokemon game. So we will pick up our Mew today and just see how it goes in this one. Now, in order to test this out, I have made this kind of minimal ROM hack just to see if it's even possible. After we get our Pokemon from Professor Elm, of course, we get access to tons of things that can help us as we go through the run. The first and most important are the fact that we have 10 of every single vitamin, allowing us to boost our stats to the highest possible for a Pokemon at the start of this challenge. So for our ultra minimum battles Mew here, we're going to give it 10 of each: HP up, Carbos, iron, protein, and calcium, so that it is the strongest Mew that has ever existed with its max DVs, meaning that this is as good as it gets at level 5. That should help us through the early game gyms, and we'll just have to see if it's enough later on. Now, there are also 11 rare candies in the bag. That's the total that are available in the game without going for like Boina's password and trying to cheese that way. That includes the 10 standard that I get in my full game solo runs, plus one more that's available in the Tin Tower. But that is going to be all the extra levels that we can get outside of fighting against the gym leaders. We will also come in with a bunch of full restores, max elixirs. There are usually 3 that I get before I go to the league, so I've put in 3, a couple of other elixirs just in case we need them for PP management, and we've got 3 PP ups, something that RBY guy hasn't yet put into his own hack, so clearly GSC is the better Pokemon Challenges channel. But now you might be asking, how are we going to move around the map, especially because I haven't disabled everything. There are still some trainer fights that will launch, like the rival fights. Well, I'm going to use some special items that I've programmed in, these charms. Basically, I've created one item for each of the HM moves that we can simply use right at the beginning of the game, like this fly charm, and you'll see that when we use it, we can simply travel wherever we want to go around the map. So if we decide, for example, that we want to go to Bugsy first, well, we just fly to Azalea Town. The rocket has already been moved away from here. We can go into the gym. None of these trainers will interact with us. They have all been deactivated. So the only trainer to worry about is Bugsy himself right here. And I haven't just limited it to the Johto area. No, we can just press the select button on my controller and go to Kanto instead. So if for some reason we think that we'd be better off going up against Janine, for example, well, we can come straight to Fuchsia City and get into this gym and try our hands at the poison type gym leader, who's probably weaker than a lot of the Kanto gym leaders. Now, in this one, I will enforce just a couple of rules as we go through it, with the biggest one being that we have to defeat at least 8 gyms before we're allowed to go to the Pokemon League, just because it would feel kind of cheesy to go there before that. I'm debating whether or not to put a cap on the number of gyms before the league, but I don't think it's really going to matter in the end, because Red is waiting there for us at the end of the game, and his levels aren't changing no matter what we do, so I think fighting anything in any order is perfectly fine here. The other rule that we will have, though, is that we are not allowed to use the Move Tutor, even though he's set here to be available every single day the entire time until we have beaten Lance. If we haven't beaten Lance, no Move Tutor, because that just feels cheap to me, and it would just cause us to basically never use the Game Corner TMs, I feel like, so I think this is a better way to go. But with that out of the way, the goal is simple: to see if we can just simply beat the game by only getting XP from these gym leaders. I should just add on a quick note that I have put in all of the held items that are available in the game into the PC as well, so that we wouldn't have to go running around or resetting days in order to get access to them. With that being said, in this first attempt, I will not be using Lucky Egg. I just don't think we want to go for that yet. Unless we prove that it's impossible without the Lucky Egg, I want to see if it's possible just getting the base XP from our opponents. Additionally, while I understand that Pokerus exists, I'm going to do this first test run with no Pokerus, because yet again, that would just make us even more powerful, and I'm not sure if it's necessary or not. And I'd rather not run every Pokemon with Pokerus, which is super luck-based to get, if it turns out that there's no need to do that. So instead, I will get items that I think are good as we go through this one. I think just about every Pokemon wants leftovers. Scope Lens could be interesting in some spots. Obviously, the type boosting items could be interesting. Focus Band could be interesting in some spots. And basically just having all of the berries seems like a good idea to me. Obviously, we can't take all of these items out at once, but we'll simply pick them up as we decide to use them and just see how it actually goes. Now, it's worth noting this is not a speed run by any means. I'm just sitting here giving live commentary as I'm doing this, but I'm going to try my best in each of the gyms to just see what I can manage. And I think against the first 2 gyms, we should generally go up against Faulkner and Bugsy. They just have lower levels than anything else. And I think there's an obvious strategy for both of them, which is to go rollout. It is one of the strongest moves against both of them in the game. And in worst case scenario, we can simply set up the defense curl to go together with rollout. And I think that will be perfectly fine to get through. We could also go Thunder Punch strats here against the first Falconer gym. So I reckon I'll throw that on as well. But let's just see how this goes on ultra minimum battles with our Mew. Is this going to be a super easy fight at level 5, or does it turn out to be a little bit hard? Let's find out. So Falconer attempt number 1, let's just see what Thunder Punch does against the Pidgey. It is not a one-hit KO, but we just get hit by a tackle. I'm going to go rollout after that as we go to the Pidgeotto, getting to level 6. We can use rollout and it looks like a simple 2-hit KO. Gust doesn't do nearly enough, and we get all the way to level 9 off of that single battle. That's 4 levels from 2 Pokemon with the medium slow level up group, and that's without any sort of lucky egg on or anything like that would give us an extra advantage. So I think we're doing perfectly fine here. Now I think we go to the Bugsy gym though, since yet again, rollout's going to be pretty good here. He leads off with a couple Pokemon that can't really do anything against us. I think any Pokemon that gets rollout is just going to get through these first 2 gyms super easily in this generation. But let's see how this goes. So Bugsy attempt number 1 right here. I'm going rollout right off the bat. We can see it did about a quarter, maybe a third to the first Metapod. So it's going to be a 3-hit KO. Still, we managed to knock that one out. We level up and learn Transform at level 10. Scyther comes out next and goes Fury Cutter, but we hit the rollout, getting the 1-hitter there, getting us to level 12, even level 13. And now we get to the Kakuna. Easy KO. So level 13 is where we finished that battle, just with the XP from Falconer and Bugsy so far. Now you'll also notice that our Pokemon is significantly stronger than it was in the minimum battle series, owing to the fact that we dropped all those vitamins at the start of this one. But now we're getting to the point where we might actually have to think a little bit about some strategy, because now levels are going to start ramping up. We could go against Whitney, which might make sense. Her Pokemon are at least close in level to us. Or we could try a different gym on the basis of maybe them not having the best typing against us or us having some stronger moves. I'm honestly not sure how I want to progress right here. I think a move like Earthquake could put a really big dent in Morty's team, but we're still too slow for the Haunters there. So I do think we want to take on Whitney first, and I think there are a few strats that we can try here. One strat that I'm going to try is the Protect strat that will help us prevent her from building up rollout. And then I think we should go for Stab Psychic here, since it's going to be one of our strongest moves. Finally, I think that we might want to go for Defense Curl in order to raise our defense. We can keep that with the rollout later on, so I'm going to forget Thunder Punch right now, but this could be my strat. It's a lot of TMs, of course, but I think it's going to be enough to get us through this fight, and that's all we really care about at this point, is just getting through, getting the XP, and then hopefully moving on in the challenge. So here we'll simply get into the gym where nothing will fight us other than Whitney herself, and it's time to see if we can get the victory against her, considering that we're only coming in at level 13. So Whitney attempt number 1, she leads off with her Clefairy. I'm going to go for Defense Curl here first to raise my defense as much as possible, keeping in mind we do have leftovers on. Because this setting is based on being able to move anywhere you want, including to Kanto, you could totally have leftovers at this point. The Clefairy self-destructs and does about half to us. That brings us to the Miltank, where now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go Psychic first. It starts to build up the rollout, but I'm just going to Protect turn 2, stopping the rollout from building up. Now she starts to set it up again. We'll just go for Psychic now, but I think we can survive, and as long as she's locked in, she's not going to be able to change. So we just beat Whitney right there and get to level 16. Nice and easy off of that fight. That was not a tough fight at all to get through. We get the badge boost in speed, and now I think we're ready to go take on Morty, because we're going to be faster than everything on his team except that Gengar. And of course, its Shadow Ball is probably the only thing we have to worry about here. Our Stab Psychic should be able to get us a pretty easy victory on that. Granted, I kind of expect with a top tier Pokemon like Mew that all of the Johto gym leaders cores really aren't going to be that bad. I think it's not until the late game that we're actually going to run into problems with this one due to the fact that our opponents are going to be so massively over-leveled against us. Now, there is an argument to go to Chucky Boy before we take on Morty here on the basis that Chuck doesn't have anything good against this Mew, but I'm still going to test this out and see. We could give a Mint Berry here, but I'm just going to try to go in as I am and just see if I can manage to get the victory. So Morty attempt number 1, we come out with our Mew. I'm going to go for Psychic on the first Ghastly. That is a one-hit KO. Haunter comes out. We are faster than this Pokemon. Psychic one-shots there as well, getting us to level 17. That brings out the Gengar. It hits the Hypnosis turn 1, and now it's going Dream Eater. But we wake up, we hit Psychic doing over half, and then hit it again after it misses a Hypnosis. That gets us to level 19 off of that single Pokemon. 2 more levels, and now Psychic on the final Haunter is a one-shot. So we completely destroy Morty. That is in spite of the fact that we came in way under-leveled there, and it's because of the fact that slamming vitamins onto your Pokemon is completely OP at this section of the game. Like, vitamins become available when you get to Goldenrod, and a lot of people have been asking me in the main minimum battle series, are you going to go for vitamins? You know, why don't you slam vitamins? And my argument against that is this. If I went for vitamins with every Pokemon, especially given the fact that we could simply grind to get money to get all the vitamins by, you know, playing games at the game quarter until we got a bunch of, you know, TMs or, you know, picking up all the berries and selling them for, you know, a small lifetime, eventually we would pump every Pokemon full of every single vitamin, and they would become so OP that even our weakest challengers in the minimum battle series would just be completely crushing Johto, I feel like. Like, anything that got to Goldenrod would still be in the challenge at this point. We wouldn't have gotten any fails with vitamins. That's just my opinion. Tell me if you disagree. But for now, it's time to take on Chucky Boy. Let's see how he likes this under-leveled but completely overpowered Mew that we're running the game with. So Chucky Boy attempt number 1, he's got a level 27 Primate out first. We're going Psychic right here, and this is going to be an easy 2-hit KO. That will get us to level 20. We will not learn Mega Punch. I don't think we need that move, and instead we'll get to the level 30 Poliwrath that we still outspeed. We do half with our first Psychic. It hits Hypnosis, which is kind of bad because Surf is doing significant damage. We need to wake up here in order to stunt on Chucky Boy, and it looks like we are going to take our first loss. Now, you might be asking in this one, well, Teo, what if I just sat here and level grinded, you know, blacked out against gym leaders or something in order to gain more experience, since there are no wild Pokemon and basically all of the trainer fights other than like some of the rivals have been deactivated? Well, here's your answer. When you black out in this game, you will go back to your room, no matter where you last saved or you last used a Pokemon Center, but somebody's here to meet you. It's good old Blaney boy from Kanto, and he's come to tell you that if you had TM28 Tombstoner, you wouldn't be in this mess. Game over. There is no way to get past Blaney Boy in order to continue the challenge. So blackout grinding is not possible in this. Even if you wanted to, you have to reset at that point to go back and fight Chucky Boy again. If you wanted to be really hardcore though, you could try running with no deaths and just treat that as the game over if you ever lose a single battle. So Chucky Boy, round number 2 right here. Let's once again go for the Psychic. Of course, if we had a Mint Berry on, we would have won that first attempt. Still, I'm going to try this again because we know that Chucky Boy loves to punt, so we'll simply give him the chance to do so. This time we hit the Psychic. He hits Hypnosis again, though. That is clearly his strat. And if we don't wake up, we're going back to see Blaney Boy again. Oh no. So with that, I think we have to actually use proper strategy here. Let's get that Mint Berry so that we have a better chance of survival. So Chucky Boy, round 3. Let's go for Psychic again here on the Primate. Once again, getting a 2-hit KO on that Pokemon. We can avoid the Mega Punch, but now on the Poliwrath, we're going Psychic. It just goes Surf this time, so we didn't even need the Mint Berry, of course. It turns out to be a 3-hit KO, but we do manage to get the victory here, getting to level 21 on Chuck. So it wasn't actually the prettiest, and I'm kind of surprised that Chuck is the first place we take a reset in this one, but at least we are progressing on ultra minimum battles, no rare candies used. I think that's perfectly legit. Now I'm going to go to Price next because I just expect Price to be bad, plus he gives us a badge boost in special, so at least our special attack stat will be higher here. I think that is the best way to go. Now I think we could go for the rollout strat here. I think it's going to be fine. We could go Thunder or Thunder Punch on the first seal, but I'm going to see what the range is first before I go for that. Let's just see if we can get through as we are right now. I think this is a fight to go back to leftovers as our held item. So Price attempt number 1 right here. I'm going to go defense curl rollout. He misses icy wind, so that's perfectly fine. Here we hit the first rollout. It looks like a 3-hitter on the seal. Still, this should be perfectly fine with no issues. Dugong comes out next. We outspeed in one shot. And now we're going to get to the Piloswine at level 23. We hit rollout, and that is the end of the story for Price. He gets completely wrecked by our Mew. No issues here on ultra minimum battles. Now, with that being done, we could go and fight against Jasmine. We could go fight against Claire, but I think this is the first spot where I'm actually going to go try to fight against the Kanto gym leader. I'm going to go to Janine, who has only poison type Pokemon and has fairly low levels. I'm willing to bet that we can get through this fight right here. I think it's just kind of hilarious to come stunt on her when we haven't even completed all of the Johto gym leaders. We're basically saying Janine is less than Jasmine and Claire. It's my personal opinion, but let's see if this actually works out. So Janine attempt number 1, she leads off with the Crobat. Of course, it does have good speed. It goes Screech right here. We go Psychic, doing about half. We get confused after that, but we just knock it out in 2 hits. That gets us to level 24. That will bring out Ariados, where we can now try to go for Psychic, but we miss and we get the Nightshade. We keep hitting ourselves in confusion, and unfortunately, we lose the first attempt. So Janine actually is a challenge here at this level, at least because she got that Confuse Ray on us. Let's try this one again. This time we get a wing attack, and that's going to allow us to knock out the Crobat without any confusion on. Ariados can come out next. We'll stick with the Psychic here, getting a one-shot. Now we're up to level 25 as the first Weezing comes out. Psychic is going to be a 2-hitter. We get Toxic, but we can still knock that one out. We get to level 26. Venomoth comes out next. We know it's Dragon type, but I'm going to stick with the Psychic here. She goes Double Team. She has learned the strategies from Uncle Koga here to just spam Double Team, but we still get the victory. That's going to get us to the final Weezing. We hit the Psychic. We do not get the one-hitter, and Sludge Bomb ends us. So we actually lose against Janine at this point because of the fact that she has such a large team. Janine turns out to not be that easy. So I think it's time to go back and take on Jasmine instead, because I think she's going to be significantly easier. I'm simply going to throw on Fire Punch for this one. I don't think we really need Protect at this point. I think we can just get rid of that. So let's see if we can beat Jasmine as we are at our current level, just because I think honestly the Magnemites are going to be free. So let's find out. So Jasmine attempt number 1 right here. We'll go Fire Punch on the Magnemite. That is an easy one-hitter. We get to level 24. Second Magnemite, once again, Fire Punch. Doesn't quite get the range. Okay, this is a one-hit range on this Pokemon. Still, we managed to get to Steelix. We can heal with leftovers. It goes Iron Tail, though, dealing massive damage, and we're fully paralyzed. So we lose to Jasmine as well. This is getting a little interesting now, because we could upgrade our move. We could go for Fire Blast, but I'm not sure if that's worth it for the lower accuracy, but it would give us a better chance of getting through. Let's see if we can get the ranges on these Magnemites though. And here for a second time, we don't get the one-hitter, so I think we either have to go Charcoal, which could be legit here, or we're going to have to upgrade our move. I'm going to go for Charcoal on the basis that I don't think we really get that much benefit from the leftovers just yet. Let's see if Charcoal gives us the ranges we need on these Magnemites. So back again with the Charcoal on, we get a one-hit KO on the first Magnemite. Second Magnemite, we'll use the Fire Punch again getting the one hitter. That will bring out the Steelix. We do slightly less than half, and we get our defense dropped by the Iron Tail, so we lose. Just based on that, we might have to set up a defense buff here in order to actually get through this one. So of course, in the next attempt, we are back to the Steelix. I'm going to set up one defense curl here to reduce its damage output. Keeping in mind, this Pokemon could miss with the Iron Tail. It's only 75% accurate. We get 2 defense drops in a row. Then it finally misses. We get the Hyper Potion. We get a crit, and that's going to allow us to get the victory. Still not the prettiest fight there against Jasmine, and losing to Janine makes me feel kind of bad in this one. We're going to have to see how this goes as we progress. Still, I will make my way now to Claire, just because of the fact that I think that if we learn at least Blizzard, it will be enough for these Dragonairs. We'll just have to see. Remember, this is another spot where the levels increase quite a bit. All of these Pokemon are in the high 30s, ending with her Kingdra at level 40. And this is the part where we might actually need a bit of luck to get through this. I think Blizzard might be the best play, given the fact that I don't think that Ice Punch is going to be enough to one-shot against the Dragonairs. I can test out the Ice Punch before we go for the Blizzard just to see, but I'm not feeling super confident here. So Claire, attempt number 1. Let's go for the Ice Punch on this first Dragonair, and that does like half. So in that case, I think it's all defense curl rollout from here. We might need to go for the paralyzed Cure Berry. I'm just going to see what kind of ranges we get. Yeah, I think that defense curl rollout's probably the play here. Otherwise, we YOLO with the Blizzard, but I think the inaccuracy of Blizzard would be too much for us to get through this like reasonably consistently. I think if we can just manage to get like one miss from the Thunder Wave with defense curl rollout, we might be good to go with the paralyzed Cure Berry on. So let's test this and see. So in this one, I'll go defense curl first. We'll recover the paralysis with paralyzed Cure Berry. We're hoping it just goes Surf against us or misses Thunder Wave. We do not get that level of luck. Still, we can see that rollout looks like a 3-hitter on this first Dragonair, and we're just getting wrecked in this one by the Surfs. So Mew is looking bad here. I think we might have to go back to Janine. This might be the correct strategy. We might have to fight something else in Kanto too in order to get through, because currently this is not looking very good in this fight. So I'm going to try round 2 at Janine here just to see if I can get a victory with Stab Psychic. So here I will go for Psychic on the Crobat. It outspeeds and hits the Confuse Ray, but we're doing over half at this point. The Wing Attack does still do pretty decent damage, but we managed to take that one down. Ariados is out next. We miss. We get Nightshaded. Definitely not what we wanted to see there, but we do manage to knock that one out as well. Out comes the Venomoth. She goes for the Dire hit. That just allows us to get a 2-hit KO there with no issues. Weezing number 1 comes out. We just miss getting the 1-hitter there, and it sludge bombs me down. So pretty clearly another tough fight to get through. Now this time we do crit the Crobat and just one-shot, so we get no damage from that Pokemon at least. Here, I think we could start setting up Defense Curl rollout against this Ariados, and maybe we can just build it up enough that we can knock out the Weezing. So let's just see. Weezing does come out next. It does about half. We survive Sludge Bomb. We knock that one out. That's going to bring out the Venomoth, which of course rollout will completely destroy. But now we're to the final Weezing with no extra rollouts left. I think it's a crit or nothing here. We do actually manage to get the 1-hitter. So we beat Janine, but that was not the prettiest fight. We're already 41 minutes into this. Our score is down to 92.9, 11 resets, 6 TMs used so far, and we haven't gotten to any of the really tough challengers yet. So that's a little bit nerve-wracking. And it honestly makes me think that we might want to take on something that's a little bit more weak to some of our damage-dealing moves here. I can think of a few strategies that might work, but the first that I want to try is just going for a Surf strat and going to try to take on either Blaine or Brock, since they will have weaknesses to that move, and who knows, maybe that's enough to get a victory. So we'll just come say hi to Blue real quick, but I think I'm going to go to Blaney Boy just to see if we can manage to get this one to go, because maybe Surf being 4 times super effective on Magcargo and 2 times super effective against everything else is enough to simply get a victory, even though we're only at level 28. Let's get into this and find out. So Blaine attempt number 1, I came in without healing. That's terrible. We're going to take the reset right there because I'm pretty sure with no HP that we lose that fight. So back again, Blaine legit attempt number 1 here. We took 1 extra reset, but let's just see how Mag Cargo likes being hit by Surf. Here, this is not a one-hit KO, but it just goes cursed, so that's going to guarantee the KO on that Pokemon. We get to level 29 as the Magmar comes out. It hits Fire Punch, taking us down to 69 HP, and we see Surf did not do as much as I would have liked. It goes for Sunny Day after that, and then Fire Punch knocks me out. So we lose that attempt. We might want to just go Defense Curl Rollout on that Pokemon. Let's just see. So back again here, I'm going to lead off with the Defense Curl at the start. Now go for Surf on this Mag Cargo. We know it's going to be on very low health, and then I think we can even start setting up Rollout right here. That will give us 1 more turn of Rollout as we go to the Magmar. It hits Fire Punch, we hit Rollout, and this is going to be a 2-hitter, but it just Sunny Days, giving us the victory there. We could level up and learn Metronome, but we will not learn that move as we get to Rapidash. Instead, we get Fire Blasted, and we simply lose. So I think we would have needed the Fire Blast miss there in order to get a victory. This is definitely not looking like a good fight. It's even worse if Mag Cargo decides to go for Flamethrower against us. So while Rollout is doing pretty decent damage, it's just not quite getting the luck to get through there. My other idea is to try my hand against Rocky Boy, since his first couple Pokemon at least will be weak against Surf, and maybe we can just find a way to Psychic down the rest of them, but let's get into this and see how it actually goes. So Brock attempt number 1 right here. We can go Surf on the Graveler. That will get the 1-hit KO, getting us to level 29. When the Amistar comes out, I'm going to try Psychic. It looks to be a 3-hitter on this one. We might need the leftovers here over anything else in order to get this to go. So back again, we can go Surf on the Graveler, guaranteeing the 1-hit KO there. Against the Amistar, I'm going to stick with my moveset as it is right now. We'll go Psychic. We get a nice crit. It goes Spike Cannon, which doesn't mean that much to us. We're simply going to knock it out the next turn. That gets us to level 30. We will once again skip Metronome. Rhyhorn comes out. We know we can just Surf on this Pokemon, and that's going to be an easy 1-hit KO victory. Onyx is going to get more of the same. Not sure why he's sending that Pokemon out against our Mew when he knows we're Surfing. But now we get to the final Kabutops. Psychic here. Looks like a 3-hitter. Surf doesn't do that much. And as long as he doesn't get us in a range to knock us out with anything, he can endure. Okay, good job, I guess. We'll just knock you out the next turn. That gets us to level 31. We do beat Rocky Boy at least. So no challenge there. Now we can probably even go back and try Blaney Boy, since we've gained a couple of levels and we'll probably do more damage. Now, it would help if I healed coming into this, but we'll try it anyway. Surf on the Mag Cargo is an easy 1-hit KO now. We can start rolling out on the Magmar and we miss. But once we do manage to hit it, it Confuse Rays me. So good strategy by Blaine here. And then he takes us down to 2 HP remaining and we knock ourselves out in Confusion. So clearly not great. Of course, that was unhealed. So let's try this one again with proper healing. But I can say for sure that some of these fights are definitely harder than I expected them to be, especially after the way we cruised through the first several gyms with Mew. This is actually turning out to be a little bit challenging. So back to Blaney Boy properly healed though, we will now take down that Mag Cargo, getting the level 32. Defense Curl and then Rollout is the strategy against this Magmar. It hits the Confuse Ray and then goes Sunny Day, but now we get a hit. Looks like a simple 2-hit KO on this Pokemon. We do take it down. That brings out Rapidash. It is faster and there's strong sunlight, but it misses the Fire Blast, so we get the victory and get to level 33. So just like that, we've beaten Blaney Boy. We've already got enough gym badges to go to the league. I'm just not sure if it's worth going to the league yet. We might want to go back and take on Claire now that we've gotten ourselves to a higher level. Now, I think the real question is Ice Punch enough at this point, or are we going to need a stronger move? Of course, in Blackthorn, there is the move Deleter, so we can get rid of the Surf, and then we can simply throw on that Ice Punch. Because the move Deleter exists, we don't have to worry as much about learning a move and then forgetting it. So let's just see if this works for our Mew now as we go into the Claire fight. So Claire round 2, let's just see what Ice Punch does. I did come in on healed again, but this time a critical hit at least one-shots the first of the Dragonairs. Second Dragonair is not a one-hitter, but it misses the Thunder Wave, so we get through just fine there. That gets us to level 34. Now Ice Punch on the third Dragonair, it again misses Thunder Wave, giving us the free victory, and we've made it to the Kingdra. I think we could go for a lot of things on Kingdra, but probably Rollout is the best, since I think we're going to need to build up damage to knock this one out. It tries to smoke screen there. Now it does smoke screen, and she hyper potions. Still, we got a few turns to heal up with the leftovers. We can now go into Psychic, which does pretty decent damage. It looks like a 3-hit KO there. So while the crit knocked us out, I think we have a chance here. In fact, it's probably worth it just to see how we would do with other moves like Psychic. Of course, it's going to be a 2-hit KO as well, but that means that the Ice Punch really just doesn't do anything for us here. We might have to go to Blizzard in order to make this one like reasonably consistent. So I'm gonna just go for that. Let's go for Blizzard over Ice Punch and see if we can manage to get this to go. I mean, I figured Game Corner TMs would come in at some point here because we're so massively under-leveled. Keep in mind, a normal Mew would be 12 levels higher than this coming into the Claire fight. So here, when we come back like this, Blizzard now on the Dragonair is a 1-hit KO, and if we can hit 3 Blizzards in a row, we should be good. We hit the second one, getting us to level 34. Third Dragonair comes out. We hit the Blizzard, so we are dealing massive damage. But now on the Kingdra, I think we just go Psychic. It appears to be a 3-hitter. We get a special defense drop and nearly get the 2-hitter as we get another special defense drop right there that will force the Hyper Potion. But now a critical hit Psychic simply ends it. And we would have only needed 2 hits there with the 2 special defense drops. So I think that's perfectly good to go. We get through Claire. We're ready to move on in the game. I'm kind of interested to see if we can manage to beat all of the gym leaders before we go to the league. So I'm going to test that out. I'm going to try all of the gym leaders in Kanto before going to the league just to see if they're possible or not. Unfortunately, I think we've taken on most of the easy ones. So I think the next gym leader that we should try is Erica, on the basis that we do have Blizzard on our moveset right now, which will be super effective against her team. I'm just not sure it will deal enough damage. Still, Psychic is also good for a lot of the Pokemon here, so I think it gives us a reasonable chance, even though we're coming in fairly under-leveled to this fight. Let's just see if we can get it to work. So Erica attempt number 1 right here. Against the Tangela, the only play I think is to go Blizzard. We get the 1-hit KO. Perfect. That will bring out Jump Bluff next. We may as well stick with the same. We miss it, Leech Seeds, but now we hit Blizzard, and that should be a 1-hitter as well. Blossom comes out. We hit Blizzard. That is going to be a 2-hitter, and we get hit by the Leech Seed, of course. And then we miss the next Blizzard as we get Solar Beamed. So that's the issue. Obviously, Blizzard just has a high probability to miss, so we lose in the first attempt against Erica. Still, if we manage to hit 4 Blizzards there, we would be through that Pokemon. The Victory Bell, we could go Psychic, and I think we would be fine. So that's going to be my strategy. I'm just going to come back to this again. Jump Bluff comes out again. This time we hit Blizzard, so no Leech Seed. Blossom comes out. We missed the first Blizzard. It's Sunny Days. We missed the second Blizzard, and that's the point where I think we're in trouble. We hit the third Blizzard, fortunately, but a critical hit Solar Beam ends it. So this is definitely going to take quite a bit of luck. We're going to have to see if we can get this to go. Next attempt, we are back to Blossom once again, just missing with Blizzard. We hit 1 Blizzard here, though. Solar Beam does a lot. We have 1 Blizzard left, and we do manage to hit it, getting the KO and getting us to level 36. The Victory Bell is out next. We can go for Psychic here, and that gets the 1-hitter. So it turns out that it was just fine to get through Erica. Once you get through that Blossom, it's not that hard to knock out the Victory Bell. Blizzard is a really good move there, but it wasn't as consistent as I probably would have liked. Still, with that done, I think our next best play is to go against Sabrina. And the question is, what strategy do we want to use here? We've got tons of TMs available to us. We could go for a physical move like Earthquake, which does make sense. We've got Lieutenant Surge coming up as well. So I think that is the most reasonable strat, given that our Pokemon are physically kind of weak. Maybe we can deal enough damage with this to get the victory. So for now, I'm going to learn the Earthquake over Blizzard. Blizzard is technically relearnable. So let's just see how this goes. I'm going to try Sabrina first, but then I'll go down to Surgy Boy if this doesn't work, since he does have Pokemon that are weak to the Earthquake here. So Sabrina attempt number 1, we are 10 levels lower than this Espeon, but we outspeed and hit Earthquake only to do that much. Oh, this is going to take 3 hits. We get the sand attack, but we do manage to win getting to level 37. Mr. Mime is out next. We hit Earthquake. This looks like a 2-hitter after the crit, and we do manage to hit both. So we get through to Alakazam. It hits Psychic. We resist. Earthquake does less than half, but with the leftovers, as long as we don't get bad accuracy luck, I think we're getting this. She goes for the Hyper Potion there. The next Earthquake did about half, and we just need one more hit here. It goes Recover, unfortunately, and that is all for our Earthquakes. We have the accuracy drop, but I am going to go for the rollout strat, since I think it's the only way we can get through this. And we just have to hope to actually hit multiple turns in a row. We're on low health, but we get it on the first attempt, getting to level 38. So rollout turns out to be enough for Sabrina, even with the accuracy drop. Not pretty per se, but we did get the job done, so I'll take it. And now we're on to Surgy Boy. Let's just see how he likes this Earthquaking Mew. Currently, we are up to 21 resets. It says 1 optional battle, but that's just because of the overlay. We haven't fought anything optional. 10 TMs used up to this point, though. We're going to have to see if Surgy Boy is easy or not. Let's get into this. So Surge attempt number 1 right here. I'm going to lead off with Earthquake on the Raichu, of course. We get the 1-hit KO. That will bring out the first of his Electrodes, which is slightly faster than us. It goes Double Team. We miss the Earthquake. It goes Swift. Now we hit, and we do get a 1-hit KO there as well. Magneton has the 4x weakness, so it's just getting wrecked by Earthquake. That will bring out the second Electrode. It goes Screech, but it misses, and we get the 1-shot. Level 39, as we get to the Electabuzz, we still have 5 Earthquakes, and it's going to be a 2-hitter. Thunder did decent damage. He goes for the Hyper Potion after that, but he just goes down on the next turn. It looks like it's a range on that final Electabuzz with Earthquake at this level from our Mew. We can see Mew's stats are all just incredible. Just perfect 124s across the board. And we're doing pretty well in this one so far, but we still have 2 Kanto gym leaders to go. We have Misty and we have Blue. We're going to take them on, then we're going to go try the League, which I just think will be kind of funny. But let's see if this can work out. I think we need another moveset change to get this one to work. It might even be worth using Giga Drain here, since we can recover HP in battle with this. And I think that's going to help us quite a bit. Question is, what move do we want to forget? And honestly, there aren't a lot of spots where we need Psychic when you come to think of it. Like, there's nothing on Red's team that's weak to Psychic. There's nothing on Blue's team that's weak to Psychic. In the League, I mean Bruno, but do we even care about Bruno? I'm honestly not sure. I guess I'll go Giga Drain over Defense Curl. I think Rollout can build up enough without it, so I guess we'll go for that. Let's just see how this goes, though. I want to just see how much damage we do with this move, plus the healing. It might be enough to get us through this. So Misty attempt number 1 here. Of course, Psychic is technically our strongest move, even with the type effectiveness of the Giga Drain. So I'm going to go Psychic first here, but I'm going to use Giga Drain if it looks like we're losing HP. We can go for it right there and finish off that Golduck. Starmie comes out next, and this is where we do need a move like this, because Starmie is a Psychic type, so we can't go Psychic here. We get confused by Confuse Ray. We hit ourselves in confusion. Starmie goes Recover. Still, a couple Giga Drains is all that it's going to take here to get through this Pokemon. We moved the next turn, so we get the KO. That will bring out the Quagsire, super weak against Giga Drain, so I think that's the only logical move. It goes Amnesia here, so it does manage to survive, but now I'm just going to try to Earthquake it down. Sure enough, it goes down nice and easy, and now we've made it to Lapras. I missed the rollout, but I think that is the best strat for this Pokemon, since it has so much HP. Of course, in the rain, Surf is doing a lot of damage, and we simply go down. But if we had hit the first rollout, we would have won there, so I'm going to take the reset happily on this one. I think we're good to go. So back to Starmie again. This time it goes Surf turn 1, but we just missed the range to get the KO. Still, I'm going to just use Earthquake to finish it off, and that does get the job done there. Back to Quagsire. This time we snap out of confusion, and Giga Drain's just just going to one-shot, so she will not have rain this time for the Lapras. And we can go back to the rollout strat here. Granted, when she hits that big blizzard, I think we should go for the Giga Drain and get some HP back. And now maybe even Psychic is enough. Sure enough, it will be. So there's no need for the rollout here. Just go all in on strong, accurate moves, and you get the victory. So just like that, we have defeated Misty. The only gym leader left is Blue. And it's just a question if we can get through him with our current moveset, or do we need to make any changes? I'm going to try him first, just as we are. Let's just see how this actually works out. So Blue attempt number 1, he leads off with the Pidgeot. There's not a lot that we can do here against Giga Chad, so I'm just going to go for the Psychic. He can Mirror Move if he wants. It's not really going to be a great strategy, especially if he doesn't get any special defense drops. We just get an easy 3-hit KO there. Alakazam comes out next. Earthquake is the obvious play. It is faster than us, but with a crit, it looks like this would be a 2-hit KO. He can recover if he wants to, but we're still going to take him down in 2 more hits. That brings out the Rhydon, where of course we have the Giga Drain, which I think is the best move here. It's still going to be a 2-hitter, but Fury Attack is not too threatening, so we'll simply knock that Pokemon out on the next turn. That brings out the Gyarados. The next couple of Pokemon have weaknesses to Rock, so I'm going to go for Rollout here. It goes for the Rain Dance after I miss. Hydro Pump is going to do a lot of damage after that, but we get the miss from the Hydro Pump only to then miss ourselves with the Rollout. So I guess it's Psychic time. We get a special defense drop, which is going to turn this into a 3-hit KO as it goes for the Rain Dance again. That will bring out Exeggutor, where again, our only good play here is Rollout. That's why I wanted to go for the move. We get Leech Seeded, which is not great, but if the Rollout builds up, I think we can find a way through this one. Egg Bomb did quite a bit. We nearly got the KO. It went for the Solar Beam, and then we win. That brings out the final Arcanine. We do have the Leech Seed on, but let's just use Earthquake here. Oh, it does less than half. Oh no. Oh, the Flamethrower. Arcanine, that beast of a Pokemon, completely wrecks me. So it's pretty clear that this strat isn't really that great. I don't think we need Giga Drain. I think that move's just a wasted move slot. Let's go for something a little bit better. I think there's a really good argument to go Fire Blast strats here on the basis that we need something for that Exeggutor in particular, but I also think Thunder makes a lot of sense here too. And like I said, there's not a whole lot that we need Psychic for, but Rollout could also be bad. Earthquake might not actually be that useful, so I'm honestly not sure what the best play is here. I'm trying to think, what is Earthquake going to be good against in the league? And outside of the Gengar on Terran's team, which we would already have Psychic for, I can't think of a lot of Pokemon that Earthquake is really that good against. So I think I'm forgetting Earthquake to learn Thunder here. It might be a mistake. Tell me in the comments if you think so. For now, let's try this strategy. So now against Blue, we'll go Thunder turn 1 on the Pidgeot. It's going to be a 2-hitter, and it mirror moves Thunder, but we will get the KO right there. That will once again bring out the Alakazam, where I think we can really go anything. It goes Reflect, so I'm just going to go for Rollout here. He is dealing pretty good damage with that Psychic, of course, so we are kind of getting wrecked, but we do manage to get through. We have made it to the Rhydon, against which we do no damage, and we simply get destroyed there. So that's where the Giga Drain made sense and the Earthquake made sense. And I guess we don't really get that much that's good for the Alakazam. Honestly, I guess Shadow Ball, maybe. Again, I'm just doing this live and I'm probably making plenty of strategy mistakes, but I think this is going to be okay. Shadow Ball's obviously going to be good against Willy Boy next, so I think it's a reasonable play. Let's just see. So this time we paralyze Pidgeot. It goes for Wing Attack, but we just knock it out the next turn. That will bring us back to Alakazam, where this time Shadow Ball is my strategy. And we can see it's going to get a 2-hitter, but we get the special defense drop, and it just goes down after using Recover. This move is technically neutrally effective against the Rhydon, though it does basically nothing. We're better off going Psychic here since it has the lower special defense. Still, that is enough to get through that Pokemon. We're back to the Gyarados. Let's see what Psychic does, but unfortunately Sandstorm ended me, so I'm gonna have to try this one again. So this time we get the 2-shot on the Rhydon. We're back to the Gyarados. Let's see what Thunder does here. When we hit that move, we get an easy 1-hit KO. Exeggutor comes out next. Sandstorm is raging here. Let's see if we're better off with the Fire Blast, I think. Let's just see how it goes. It's going to be a 2-hitter, but it just goes for the Solar Beam. That should allow us to simply Shadow Ball and knock that Pokemon out. Now we've made it to the Arcanine, which has equal special defense and defense. I'm going Psychic here, hoping for a special defense drop. We get burned by the first Ember, and anything less than a crit, I think, loses here. And Flamethrower, sure enough, just ends me. Still, we saw the Earthquake wasn't doing that much more there. Still, Blue is arguably the second hardest trainer in the game, so it's kind of hilarious that we're getting that far, given our low level, and that we haven't used any rare candies at this point. So I'm calling that a small victory, but who knows, we might just have to give up on this pipe dream of beating the gym leaders before the Elite Four, and instead go and try to take on Willy Boy. So I'm going to do that. Clearly Blue, he's not meant to be fought before the league, and it turns out that he's probably harder than the league. So let's just get this out of the way here. We will try our hand against the Pokemon League instead. Now, I think we just need Ice Punch and Thunder Punch for Lance, honestly. I don't think we need anything stronger than that. And I think our Shadow Ball is going to be enough for the first fight against Willy Boy. So let's just see how this goes. So Willy Boy attempt number 1 right here. We have made it to the league. Let's see what Xatu does here. I'm going to try to go for the Shadow Ball just to see. Though Thunder is definitely going to deal more damage. This move is more accurate. So let's just see if it's enough. It's not quite a one-hitter, but of course we resist Psychic, so we get through just fine anyway. Xatu number 2 comes out. Now I'm going to go for Thunder, and that does get the one-hit KO. Jinx is out next. I think Fire Blast is the best play here. It does get the one-hit KO on that Pokemon. Exeggutor's out. Let's go for Shadow Ball. It's going to be a 2-hitter here as we get Leech Seeded, but I think that's perfectly fine. And now Slowbro has lower special defense, so we'll go for the Thunder and get the one-hit KO victory. We get through Willy Boy with full HP thanks to the leftovers, something that, keep in mind, you wouldn't normally have here. It's only because of this setting that we're allowed to have leftovers at this point in the game. Still, we've made it to Koga. We've got Psychic. We've got Fire Blast for that Fortress. I think we're good to go. Let's just see. So Koga attempt number 1 right here. We'll go Psychic on the Ariados, getting an easy one-hit KO victory there. Fortress comes out next. Fire Blast is the obvious solution there, getting a one-hit KO. Out comes the Venomoth. I'm going to stick with Stab Psychic since it's 100% accurate. We can get to level 43 right here as the Crobat comes out. We hit Psychic on this one as well, getting a one-hitter, and that will bring out the Muck. We can go Psychic, and it's not quite a one-hit KO, but he just goes Minimize, giving us the free victory. So turns out Willy Boy and Koga significantly easier than Blue, kind of to be expected, but now we're on to Bruno, who I don't even think we need to talk about, but I guess we'll just talk about the fact that we're here to fight Bruno. Let's see how he goes. Of course, he has a Hitmontop out first. We'll just go Psychic on this Pokemon, getting the one-hitter. Onix comes out next, trying to do something, but Psychic is going to one-shot that Pokemon as well as we get to level 44. Hitmonlee, Psychic, and I think you see a bit of a theme forming here. Psychic on the Machamp is a one-hit KO. That means that he just can't stand up to anything that we're throwing at him here. Bruno goes down on the first attempt. Easy victory. Now we've made it to Karen. This is the first spot where I do think we make a moveset change. We throw on the Dynamic Punch for the dark types here. Shadow Ball at this point has not much value, but I think we could also replace Fire Blast because I don't think it has much value going forward. I think Psychic's going to be enough for Vileplume, so let's just see how this goes in this fight with the Dynamic Punch strats. So Karen attempt number 1, we miss Dynamic Punch turn 1, of course. We get Feint Attack, we miss Dynamic Punch again, we get confused, we hit ourselves in confusion, another Feint Attack, we miss another Dynamic Punch. We clearly needed Mind Reader here, and now we get our accuracy dropped, and we didn't hit a single hit here. So that's great. Now we hit Thunder, and it does like a third to this Pokemon. We are hitting Thunder in spite of the fact that our accuracy has been dropped, which is kind of hilarious. So we do manage to get through the Umbreon after missing everything before that. We hit Thunder on Murkrow, so we take that one down. Houndoom comes out. We hit Thunder. We paralyze it. It's fully paralyzed. We hit another Thunder. So we couldn't hit any of the Dynamic Punches, but now we've hit all of the Thunders up to this point. Psychic on the Gengar gets the one-hit KO, and Vileplume Vileplume comes out. We miss Psychic. It goes Stun Spore. It goes Petal Dance now. We hit the Psychic and we win. Are you kidding me? Oh, Dynamic Punch is completely useless. Oh my goodness. Seriously, just Chucky Boy strats there. We just nearly punted on that fight. We finally found a way to get through though. Now we can learn Ice Punch over something. Honestly, I'm not sure what is best to learn it over, but I guess we can learn it over Psychic because there's really nothing weak to Psychic in the rest of the game. I think other moves will always be better. So let's just see how the Ice Punch does here on Lancey Boy. We're going Thunder, obviously, on the first Pokemon. Ice Punch after that. We'll go back to Thunder on the Charizard, I think. But I think this is going to be enough. Let's just see. So Lancey Boy attempt number 1 right here. I didn't even heal coming in. Oh no. We get hit by Hyper Beam. We're paralyzed. Still Thunder will one-shot against the Gyarados at least. But we're going to have to reset and heal, I think, after this because the Hyper Beams take us down. Still, if we had properly healed, I think this would be a victory. So let's just find out. So back again to Lance. We can Thunder on the Gyarados. That gets the one-hitter. Dragonite comes out. We go for the Ice Punch. And that is a one-hit KO. Dragonite number 2 comes out. Ice Punch gets the victory. We level up to level 47 as Aerodactyl comes out. We are faster. We missed Thunder, but I do think Thunder is the strongest move here, so I'm just using that in order to try to get through. Ice Punch, I think, could have gotten it down in a couple hits, but I think that was the better way to go. Now to the Charizard. Thunder is the obvious play because of its resistance, but that's a one-hitter. And now against the final Dragonite, back to Ice Punch. And Lancey Boy never stood a chance. He gets completely wrecked by this Mew, and we're ready to move on to Blue and Red. That's it. That's all that's left. We've made it to level 48 here. We could get up to level 59 with rare candies, but we're just going to have to see how this actually goes. Do we beat the last 2 trainers on Ultra Minimum Battles? I think Blue is yes. I think we can beat him pretty easily. Red is going to be kind of questionable. I think I'm keeping Dynamic Punch for some YOLO strats there, because I think that's going to be the best way to go. We're just going to have to see. So here, let's try with our moveset as is and just try to go back into the Blue fight, considering that we've gained quite a few levels as we went through the league. Let's just see if this works or not. So Blue, round 2 here. Let's stick with the Thunder on the Pidgeot. And that still doesn't quite one-hit KO, but we can just Ice Punch it down from there. That will bring out Alakazam next. We are now faster than this Pokemon. We can go for the Shadow Ball and just get a one-hitter. Rhydon comes out. Obviously, we've got access to Dynamic Punch or Ice Punch. Ice Punch should do more damage, though. And it is a one-hit KO with a crit, so we managed to get through that one. Gyarados can get Thundered. Easy victory. That brings out the Exeggutor, where I think we're better off going for Shadow Ball. It goes for the Solar Beam strat. We can see what Ice Punch would do. It does actually get the KO, so I guess that's fine. Now we've made it to the final Arcanine. I'm going to try to Dynamic Punch to confuse it. We managed to finally hit, and it does get confused. It hits itself in confusion. That's what we want to see. Now Thunder, I think, is just stronger. We get the Paralysis. It hits the Flamethrower. We know that he's going to go for a full restore here, which is why I'm Dynamic Punching again to confuse this Pokemon again. We miss Thunder. It hits itself in confusion. We hit Thunder this time. He hits the Flamethrower. We know there's another full restore, which is why once again I'm going for the Dynamic Punch here. We once again repeat the same thing of him hitting himself in confusion as we hit Thunder, paralyze him again. He hits the Flamethrower. We get burned, but if we land one more hit, we win. And he uses Extreme Speed and he doesn't hit himself in confusion, so we lose. A crit on any of those turns where he was within, low health, we obviously would have won on those turns by just critting him instead. So I'm going to try this one again. Now, since we know Pidgeot is not a one-hitter, I'm going to go for the Ice Punch instead. That will once again bring out Alakazam, which we can destroy with the Shadow Ball. Rhydon comes out again. We can go back to the Ice Punch here. Without a crit, it is a two-hitter here, and we get Sandstormed, but we will knock that Pokemon out. That will bring out the Gyarados. Sandstorm rages. Probably means that we lose this time. Still, we knock that one out, no problem. Exeggutor comes out. I will go for the Ice Punch here this time, doing over half. He goes for a full restore there, which we kind of like. We want to see this Pokemon take more turns, and that brings out the Arcanine, where once again, I think Dynamic Punch is the required play, especially since he's got the Leech Seed on me. I think we need him to hit himself in Confusion. We hit the Thunder, he snaps out of Confusion, and we lose. Next attempt, we are back to the Arcanine, but burned, and we simply go down. So what's pretty clear here is that number one, we need to make sure that we have a move that will knock out that Rhydon more efficiently, and we need something better for the final Arcanine, and I think Surf is the way to go. I'm going to learn Surf over Ice Punch here, since it will give us a stronger move against those two. We still got Thunder for the Pidgeot and for the Gyarados, Shadow Ball for the Exeggutor, but I think I want to keep Dynamic Punch for the Snorlax on Red's team. So I'm going to try to keep that move. Let's just see how this goes. This time we managed to one-shot against the Pidgeot. Shadow Ball is of course the strategy on Alakazam, but now when we get to the Rhydon, let's just go Surf here, and that should get us the one-hitter. Sure enough, it does. We get to level 49 right there. Gyarados comes out next. We miss Thunder, it misses Hyper Beam, so that's perfectly fine. We'll just knock it out the next turn. Back to Exeggutor, where we're back to our Shadow Ball shenanigans. It goes for the Leech Seed, but we managed the two-hitter there. That brings out the final Arcanine. Let's see what Surf does on this Pokemon. Well over half. So even after the Leech Seed, I think we win as long as he doesn't go full restore, and he doesn't. So that is the solution. You get through, you get to level 50. We could learn Ancient Power right here. I'm not sure. Maybe it's worth learning Ancient Power, but I'm going to skip it for now. I'm going to stick with what I've got. Now we can see that just based on the fights that we've taken, we have gotten all the way to level 50 here. And that means that we could get to level 61 with a medium slow level up Pokemon just by fighting the gym leaders and the Elite Four members. And I haven't always used the best strategies here. This is completely unplanned, unoptimized. There's a lot of spots where I've just been avoiding going for TMs because I wanted to see if I could get through with what I currently had. So the fact that we're only on 35 resets and 17 TMs learned, but, you know, kind of experimenting around with things, I think is really not that bad for a first attempt at this sort of challenge. As I get more into it, I'm sure I'll figure out ranges that work better with different things, but it is looking like you can get to red at least with a strong Pokemon on this setting. And keep in mind, I tried Mew first because it doesn't have sleep strats to lean on. I think Pokemon with sleep would potentially get through a lot easier in some spots because they would be able to get a lot of free turns. Here proves to be unnecessary with this Pokemon, at least to this point. But now it's red time. I think we have to drop the rare candies in order to get through this. I'll go in once without them just to see what this kind of looks like, but I think we're getting wrecked. Let's just see. So first things first, of course, Pikachu is much faster than us, so we're not going to get any good ranges here. It charms turn one. I go Dynamic Punch just because I wanted to confuse it, and then it goes Thunder. We'll go Surf after that to try to knock this one out. It's going to take a couple hits. He goes a full restore right there, but we can see we're not quite doing half, and we just take too much damage. So I think that justifies the rare candies. If we're not getting through the Pikachu nice and easy, we're basically not getting through anything nice and easy. Let's go up to level 55 first and just see what that does for us. The first thing, of course, is that we are faster now than the Pikachu, so we can just see what kind of damage we do. Surf is now looking like a two-hitter as we do get charmed, but most of our moves are special, so I think that's going to be all right. Still, it's going to affect things a little bit here against Espeon, which is still faster than us. We hit the Shadow Ball, but do way less than I would have hoped, given the fact that we have that attack drop. So I think we're going to go for more levels. So I'm just going to get to the highest level possible, level 61 here, and let's see what Mew does in this fight at this point. I think we have to reset if we get charmed just because of the next Pokemon. So I'm going to reset a little bit here. Dynamic Punch obviously isn't a one-hitter, but it does give the chance the opponent hits themselves in confusion, because I don't think Surf is getting a one-hit KO here either. It does get him in a healing loop, so Charm obviously can miss 25% of the time. That might be what we have to reset for. Still, we're faster than Espeon now, so we can at least get the advantage there with our Shadow Ball strats, and we will take it down in 3 hits. Snorlax comes out next. This is where I've really wanted Dynamic Punch. to get it confused, but I think with the charm on, obviously that cuts our attack stat in half. It just means the dynamic punch doesn't do nearly as much as it probably would do otherwise. I would expect it's normally a 2-hitter. The crit does take down the Snorlax there, so now we get to the Charizard. Let's try Thunder since it's the strongest move. It does over half. We get a Flamethrower, but now we get a Surf to knock this one out. That brings out Blastoise next, which is perfectly fine by me. I will Thunder on this Pokemon. He Rain Dances, which just guarantees the hit from Thunder the next turn, so that's perfectly fine. But now we make it to the Venusaur, and we don't have any strong moves here. Like, our Shadow Ball did that much. So I guess we have to Thunder and kind of pray to get him paralyzed. He goes for the Sunny Day, of course, and we're just getting completely wrecked at that point. But I think that mostly comes down to the fact that we got the attack drop there. I'm trying to think if there's any good move that we could learn at this point, but honestly, there's not a whole lot that we could use against that final Venusaur, short of going like a Flamethrower strat, I guess. But I'm not sure what I would want to forget in that case. So let's just try this again. Let's see if we can get a run where we don't get Charm. This time we get through with no charm from the Pikachu. It's on to the Espeon. It's going to be a 2-hitter, and it goes Reflect, which is kind of bad. But we do get back to Snorlax. We miss Dynamic Punch turn 1. We miss it again turn 2. We get Body Slammed. We miss turn 3, and that's probably just the end of that one. So let's try this again. Once again, we get through with no charm from the Pikachu, but with a Reflect from the Espeon. And then we just get paralyzed by Body Slam after we miss 2 Dynamic Punches. So yet again, not looking good to get through this one. Snorlax hits itself once in confusion, but we're fully paralyzed, and that's basically the end of it. This time Espeon goes for the Psychic instead though, so we get through with no Reflect. Back to Snorlax, we miss again. Now we hit, and we can see we do nearly half as we get it confused. It hits itself in confusion. Let's see if that gets us the range. Instead, it rests after we miss. We miss again while it's asleep and goes for Snore. Now we hit, and we get it confused again at least. It hits itself in confusion while asleep, which is kind of hilarious. Now I guess we just go for Thunder, but it did set up the Amnesia earlier, so it's not taking a lot of damage. It is fully paralyzed, but now goes Rest, and we can't go Shadow Ball here. We can't use a physical move, so the Amnesia is a major problem for us, and we just don't really have anything that's good or strong against this Snorlax. So once again, I think we're getting wrecked. Like, there really isn't anything stronger than Dynamic Punch there. It just has to actually hit. This time we get another Reflect as we go to the Snorlax, so we're going to need a lot of luck here. He sets up Amnesia again, and because we're just sitting here missing, we're just not going to get the ranges, I don't think. We get a nice crit. We get Body Slammed right there, though, and now it's very likely to just rest, as sure enough it does, and I think that's just an auto reset. Once again, back to Snorlax with no Reflect. We do hit Dynamic Punch turn 1. It hits itself. Let's hit again, please. And there we go. We do get through, and we're going to the Charizard on full health after the leftovers heal. We can go Thunder right here. We know it's going to be a 2-hitter, but we get the Paralysis, so that's pretty good. We can now Surf on this Pokemon to knock it out. That will bring out the Blastoise next. Back to Thunder, we get the miss, but it goes Rain Dance, which helps us out here. Surf is going to do pretty good damage, but we will be able to knock it out on the next turn, getting the level 62 as we go to Venusaur. But now our only good move here is Shadow Ball. We get Giga Drained, and that gets a critical hit that knocks me out. Still, we can see that we did about 60 damage there, so it would be a 4-hit KO with Shadow Ball on that Pokemon. Like I said, I'm just not sure that anything would be better there. I will just kind of test to see what Thunder does on the Espeon. We get the Paralysis, it goes for Reflect. Maybe we're better off just going for special moves here to waste some turns on the Reflect. We'll manage to knock it out in 3 hits regardless. Back to the Snorlax here. We hit the Dynamic Punch. It did have the Reflect up. It hits itself in confusion. The second turn as the Reflect fades, it hits itself again. Now we hit Dynamic Punch again. We got it on low health. It body slams, but it looks like we're going to survive this time to get through once again to the Charizard. Let's go for the Surf. It goes Flamethrower. That's fine. We will knock it out the next turn. Back to Blastoise. We've got to hit the first Thunder here. We do. And if If it rain dances, we'd simply knock it out. Here, Surf does a lot of damage. Unfortunately, that's all the best we can do right there. So we're to Venusaur once again on kind of lowish health. It goes for Solar Beam this time. We hit a couple Shadow Balls, but it's not enough to get through. So I think we have to go a Fire Blast strat. The idea being pretty simple. If we can get back to that Venusaur, Fire Blast should do a lot more damage. Let's just see how it actually works out though. Here, I think Charm matters a little bit less than before, though it is still kind of bad when we get it. Still, we can paralyze the Espeon, and then it should just take a couple more hits from there with Surf, I think, to knock out. Sure enough, we get the range. That will bring out the Snorlax. I'm going for Dynamic Punch first to confuse it, hoping it doesn't get a setup Amnesia. After that, really Thunder or Fire Blast I think is perfectly fine here. We get the Paralysis. It hits itself in confusion again. It hits itself even again. At this point, I think even Surf will knock it out. Sure enough, it does. So we get through. That's 2 Charizard on full health. Surf here gets a critical hit, but does not quite one-hit KO. Still, that's perfectly fine. We'll knock that Pokemon out. We get to the Blastoise here. Thunder does, of course, half. We get a Surf, but Thunder again is enough to knock that one out there. So we get to level 62 once again on the Venusaur. I'm going Fire Blast, and Fire Blast does over half. We get Sunny Day, which will power up Fire Blast even, and that gives us the victory. So it took 17 attempts in the end there on Red. I was testing out some different things, obviously not the best strats. I was trying to stick with Shadow Ball for a while there because I thought it would be the best against the Espeon. I thought Espeon could possibly mess this up there with strategies. Turns out, no, just don't worry about the Espeon. Worry about the Venusaur at the end. And with that, we do manage to get through on Ultra Minimum Battles. Now, this makes me think that any Pokemon that is in the medium slow level up group that has a sleep move will absolutely be able to do this challenge. I think sleep at the end of the game, even if you were slower than some of the members of Red's team, would still be enough to ultimately get you a victory because you could put things to sleep, set up other moves, and ultimately get through. But I think the number of Pokemon that can actually beat Red are probably much, much fewer than can get through Pokemon Red and Blue on this setting. So I'm going to do a little bit more testing over here. We might need to look at some normal types that get access to sleep moves, like a Clefable, for example. Could be really, really good on this setting, or a really slow but bulky Pokemon like maybe a Slowbro could potentially do something here. We'll just have to see. I think Snorlax is the natural next test case though, given the fact that it, number one, is really, really good in this generation, but number two, doesn't have speed, but number three, has massive bulk that could let it still get through major challenges. So I think that's going to be my next test Pokemon. We'll see how that one goes. And then we may follow up with something like I said, Clefable, that's in the faster level up groups, or even a Gengar, something that could get here to the end of the game and basically just not care about that Snorlax at all because it doesn't have a good enough moveset here. That could be kind of interesting, but we're just going to have to test this out and see. For now, Mew gets through. It's our first Pokemon done on Ultra Minimum Battles in Pokemon Crystal. So I hope you guys enjoyed that one. If you did, make sure to let me know in the comment section down below. I want to say thank you to everybody who watches the videos to the end, and thank you to the channel members for their immense support. We've got some channel member requests coming in pretty soon that we're going to have to get to. But for now, Ultra Minimum Battles, does it work in Gen 2? Yes. Is it pretty? Maybe not, but we're going to have to test this out more and see. Anyway, appreciate you guys. I will see you in the next one. Later.